Well, since we have a movie with Batman in it, riddle me this. What's worse than one Ezra Miller?
I'm
Well,
Barry.
we're Barry.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my review of The Flash. So after what seems like a decade of waiting and about 15 to 20 directors, we finally got The Flash movie. By the time this review drops, I'm sure you will all have seen the news that The Flash is being called like the biggest flop in box office history. After everybody went to see this movie opening weekend and word of mouth got around, this actually had the worst second week since Morbius. So yeah, it's bad. Unfortunately, I think what hurt this movie the most, what hurts most things in life, is expectations. When you have respected names in the industry like James Gunn, Tom Cruise, Terry Crews, Cruis'n USA for the N64, what? Anyways, when you have these big, respected names coming out of the movie saying it's the greatest superhero movie they've ever seen, it's eye-popping, it's non-stop fun, it's the modern-day Citizen Kane, I made that last one up. And listen, I can deal with watching a shitty movie. Hell, I've already watched quite a few of them this year. But the difference is, when you have people saying it's the greatest superhero movie of all time, that is gonna create a level of hype that, quite frankly, even the greatest superhero movie of all time probably couldn't live up to. And this movie is not that. But before I get into my full thoughts, as always, be sure to let me know what you thought of The Flash down in the comments below. Do you think this movie deserves all of its criticism? Or do you think it's a little bit overhated and you actually had a good time with it? This is one that seems to be pretty divided, so I'm definitely curious to see what you guys thought. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the movie. And with that being said, let's get into it. There is only one place to start this review, and that is, of course, with Barry Allen, Ezra Miller. Right now, a lot of people see Ezra Miller as like this real-life supervillain, so it was a bold choice to not only keep Ezra Miller in this movie, but actually double down on his character.
Is bold the right word?
And I actually find Ezra Miller to be a very good actor. The problem is, again, I'm not a big comic person, but as far as the movies go, I never really connected with this version of Barry Allen. I do think he works just fine as a complimentary side piece. Barry just has a different energy about him. Like underneath all the nervousness and the things that make him relatable, he has this way that he delivers lines that really gets to me. It's almost like a cocky, arrogant, I'm better than you thing. And to me at least, that kind of makes for a hard protagonist to root for and a hard lead character to follow around for 2 hours.
Wait, he's Batman?
Yes, let's talk about Barry 2. I absolutely hated this character. He was just insufferable. And I get that he was brought in to kind of show the contrast of how much Barry 1 or Barry Prime or whatever you want to call him has like grown, but to be honest, they both annoyed me. When you put them side by side, Barry Prime doesn't seem so bad, but that's because he's with somebody who's even more annoying than him.
He's done it! He's done it! Dorian's the most annoying man in the world!
You were a close second.
Like most of these movies, the comedy is very hit or miss. Unfortunately for me, it was about 80% miss. There were a few moments that got me. When Barry Prime loses his power and he starts to run around in circle with like no music, I got a pretty good laugh out of that. But most of the comedy in here felt very low-hanging fruit, like a lot of dumb jokes for Barry 2 to make that, I don't know, I guess some people found funny.
Barry, what are you doing? Our kids are gonna wanna see this.
Let me know down in the comments if you liked Barry 2. I'm genuinely curious about this.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
As for the big trailer reveal moment, yes, Michael Keaton's Batman is in the movie, and he's actually in it a little more than I thought he would be, which was nice. But we are getting to a point in movies where even fan service and nostalgia kind of, they don't hit the same, do they? Like, it was great to see Michael Keaton back in the Batsuit, but it just didn't excite me as much as I thought it was going to. And I'm somebody who loves those Tim Burton movies. Keaton was great, of course, because he's Michael Keaton. I love the Batcave, I love the look of it. But man, am I the only one who, after seeing all those Batsuits, I want to see some Michael Keaton Batman adventures. So even though the Batcave was badass, I was kind of sad we didn't get to see any of it really serving a function.
You gotta play with
Don't take it out! I'm sorry. You know what? It's just...
And there were a few lines delivered by Batman that contextually make no sense whatsoever. They clearly just wanted to like force these lines in here so people would be like,
I clapped when I saw it.
ATSTs! ATSTs!
Not being a huge comic fan, I thought if there was potential for me to hate one character, it would have been Supergirl, but I actually liked her a lot in the movie. As people have said, she is severely underutilized. I kind of like this twist on the story where they killed Kal-El at a young age because he didn't have the blood they were looking for. All the stuff between Supergirl and Zod was really good, but man, both of these characters were so underused. Michael Shannon coming back had me so excited. I was a big fan of Man of Steel. Still don't understand why so many people dislike that movie. So I was excited for his return. Instead, it just kind of felt like a floating head and a CGI body. Even Michael Shannon acknowledged this, saying he's not going to do these movies going forward. I believe his quote was something along the lines of, "These multiverse movies just kind of feel like a kid playing with his toys." And I can't say I disagree. All right, everybody. You know we had to get to it eventually. The CGI in this movie is...
crap, mega crap.
And I know Muschietti came out and said those were intentional choices, like when Flash is in the Speed Force, everything's supposed to look distorted. And I would almost buy that if the CGI outside of the Speed Force wasn't equally bad. I think the real story is they ran out of budget, they didn't want to put any more money into this movie, which in hindsight, good call. But in 2023, that kind of CGI, there's no excuse for it. It's bad. No! Now, I don't want to spend this whole review shitting on this movie, so I will say I really liked Barry's character arc.
You're reaching now.
But there's just something very relatable and very human about Barry wanting his mom and dad back. It's a simple story, and there was one scene that actually choked me up a bit, and that was Barry's final scene with his mother. As somebody personally who lost their mother a little over a year ago, that scene definitely hit me hard. But to do a 180 on that, it kind of pissed me off that Barry really didn't learn a lesson in this movie. One of the biggest lessons in the movie is your mistakes and your tragedies kind of shape who you are as a person. And even though you have the ability to change the past, doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
So what does Barry do after he talks to his mom? He takes those goddamn canned tomatoes and he puts them on the top shelf so his dad will look up. So it's kind of like Barry didn't really learn anything. That was frustrating. And then I've talked about this before, but the problem with these multiverse movies is there's just no real stakes. Like the first time that Michael Keaton's Batman dies, I felt nothing.
You're a monster!
But overall, guys, I just really didn't enjoy The Flash that much. Had this come out 5 years ago, before the whole multiverse thing started, ahead of the MCU, before Ezra Miller was Ezra Miller,
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
I think this would have been a much better movie, and I think critically and financially it would have done a hell of a lot better. So I'm gonna give The Flash a 5.5 out of 10, just barely above average. As always, let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments below. Do you think this movie deserves all of its criticism and more? Do you think it's overly hated? Or is it one of your favorite superhero movies? Was Tom Cruise right all along? While I have you, me and 3 friends do a weekly pop culture podcast. We actually did an episode on The Flash about 3-4 weeks ago, so you can check that out wherever you get your podcast. Link will be down in my description. As always, if you enjoyed this review, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing right over here so you don't miss any future content. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.